But his giant gate appeared over China, but it's not the only one. There's 8 more that appeared all around the world at the exact same time. He's asking Jin-Woo if it's more of his troops, but he's like, nah, they're our enemies. Now, Chairman, do you trust me? He says, yeah, I do. Well, then trust what I'm about to show you. And he just touches him on the forehead and pulls a Goku, just loading all his memories into his head. That shit crazy, bro. He can really do everything. After learning everything, he says, impossible. This shit can't be. He's learned the truth about hunters. I always thought that the gods had gifted a special power to a small number of humanity, and that's why I thought we needed to protect humanity by fighting against the monsters. But if what you just showed me is really true, I was wrong about everything. Hunters or awakeners were the only people that were meant to survive. They're filtering out so only certain humans can live. This isn't a war between humans and monarchs, but between the monarchs and the rulers, between two groups who possess enormous power. So hold up, you about to go fight them by yourself? What should we, or how could we even help you? Then it cuts to some big gathering. It's an assembly of 152 countries to have some kind of conference. The whole time he's here, the shit's playing in Wu Jin's head. He's seen the army of dragons that's coming for everybody, with the gigantic one in the back. They could have every hunter in the world gathered up against it, but they couldn't leave a scratch. And just the pressure from its power is enough to burn down all the lands in the world with a single breath. He felt it. He's just thinking, how is Jin-Woo gonna fight this shit? He calls him to say that he gathered everybody. He says, yeah, I've just arrived too. Like, that shit is so cold. I guess asking for your location is meaningless now. They're like, wait a minute, are you one of them? Jin-Woo speaking at a conference to basically the entire world. Presidents, chairmen, hunters, leaders, everything. It would be nice for him to say something to ease everybody's mind, but he says everybody's gonna go through a tough time. Nobody can avoid the fight that's coming. They will appear before your eyes and bring destruction on everything. So they're like, are you serious? You're telling us nation level hunters are gonna be useless? He says they have at least a couple hundred monsters that are on par with Kamesh, and he was the world's biggest disaster. Not even a nation level hunter can do anything. So they all start asking for proof, like, how are we gonna believe this? He just waves his hand and opens up a bunch of gates behind him. They're all shook, like, wait a minute, aren't those gates? Yes, and the enemy can create these gates whenever and wherever they want, just like I did. They're only taking their time due to the size of their army. They're like, wait a minute, are you one of them? Did you bring them here to kill us? Eventually they calm down and just ask him what they should do. He tells everyone to get as far away from the gates as possible. That's the order he gave to all of humanity. Now it cuts to a deserted island and a giant castle. And Jin-Woo says, Biru, come here. Drop to the ground real quick. This is a nice place to stay in. Aside from its size, like, is it even for me? But I thought that anything less wouldn't suffice for you, my liege. He asked why you put a flag up there, and Bellion drops to the ground too, because it was his idea. Then he asks, what would happen to the armies if I die? Like, would you be in charge of the Shadow Army? And he says, our lives are one with yours. The moment you pass away, we will perish too. He sees the greatest benefit of the Shadow Army is their loyalty, like they put his life over theirs. It's like two sides of a coin, and my enemies could hold that against me. He asks how much bigger he expects the dragon army to be, and he says 100 times larger. Would that mean they got at least 10 million soldiers? And it shows this Canadian hunter on TV just yapping shit, basically just saying everything Jin-Woo says isn't true. He thinks Jin-Woo is just trying to claim all the gates for himself and intimidate everybody else away. And a bunch of Canadian hunters have been gathering with him as their leader, and others are coming to join him to stand against the gates. So what are you gonna do now? But Jin-Woo's just gonna go to China. Now there are 8 gates total, but he's gonna stay in China so he can eliminate the closest threat to his family. And I can take care of the rest of the monarchs, and the longer the war goes on, the better my chances are of winning. So Jin-Woo's waiting for this gate to open with China's greatest hunter. They're just walking and talking before he introduces their backup. 100,000 man army of hunters. It's not just our numbers, man, we got some skills too. Then Jin-Woo says, come forth. He can just sense the aura. Jin-Woo just one-up the shit out of everybody with the whole gang. He's just like, that shit's crazy, bro. Are those all you're summoning? Then Biru's like, hey, the left side of the king is my place. Who dares to take my place beside the king? He says, knock it off, man. He's on our side. He's just surprised, like, damn, he can talk with them too. Then it shows the sky starting to swirl. Jin-Woo looks up like, hey, it started. Then Bellion says it's strange. He doesn't feel any presence from the gate. He's like, wait, what about all the other gates? But the Shadow's saying they're dealing with the same thing. You're telling me that all the gates are empty? Then he realizes he made a mistake. I thought that they created different gates across different parts of the world to divide up their army. But that wasn't the case. They put all their forces into the gate furthest from me. It shows the Canadian hunter that was on TV talking shit. I think everyone's just mindlessly relying on Jin-Woo. And he's got a whole parade of people supporting him. We won't give up Canada. Confident their hunters are gonna protect them. And it shows the dungeon finally breaking. At first, nothing comes out of it. But then just one singular being floats out. And everybody's just confused because it looks like a person. I think he looks pretty cool. Then he just floats down to him and asks, "Are you the king of this place?" Again, he's just confused because it looks like a person. He's also surprised that he can communicate with him. It turns out the monsters were always capable of talking to humans, they just don't. He's thinking that's probably how Jin-Woo got so strong. He could talk to the monsters and get them to obey him. So, what if I am the king? He just says, nah, it looks like he's not here. Now, Jin-Woo's still just looking up at his gate. He calls Adam White of the Hunters Bureau to see what's going on in Canada. When he picks up, he hears a loud noise. So Jin-Woo's like, bro, I know you're not actually at the gate. Of course, he's in the big-ass parade of people. He says, why the hell are you there? But as agents of the Bureau, they couldn't just sit around. A bunch of them are in this crowd. He's just like, damn, they don't get it. Has there been any changes yet? He says, nah, it seems empty like the other gates. It's pretty quiet. Wait, hold on. Something is coming out of the gate. A person? A person's coming out of the gate. So Jin-Woo's like, bro, get the fuck out of there. Go. Run as fast as you can. He's watching the hunters get disintegrated in front of him. Top-ranking hunters got turned to ash in an instant. He says, bro, you still got time. You gotta run while you can. He's still just reporting like Charlie in 2012. Dragons are flying from the sky. There's an endless number of dragons and beasts coming from the sky. All kinds of demons and beasts have gathered in one place. How could this be? So he's like, damn, I gotta use my shadow to get to him. And he had planted an orc on him earlier, so he's gonna use him to exchange. But then bro pulls up saying, where do you think you're going, Shadow? And, I don't think you could be more cooked. Like, literally too. Both him and the orc get it. And of course he can feel what just happened. I didn't expect this. Since they know they're against my shadow army that gets stronger the war goes on, they decreased the number of battles by just fighting in one location. They opened 8 gates as if they were gonna follow their original plan and came in full force and the farthest one away from me. This was completely my mistake. Even if he were to go there right now, it would just be an all-out war, like his plan to buy time went down the drain. He's watching on his phone what's happening in Canada. The sound of a living person's heartbeat, the sounds of their screams, and the sound of the destruction of creatures are resonating like music in my ears. Yes, we're done with the preparations. Destroy everything, for that is the sole mission of our existence. It's literally just endless dragons shooting fire everywhere. It's just being broadcasted live on TV. It cuts to the deputy of the bureau getting drunk and watching everything happen. Deadass just watched like all of his employees die. With literally nothing we can do about this. The world is done for. It's all over. Then a shadow appears in his room. It's Jin-Woo pulling up because he's looking for something. He wants the runestone that was left behind by Kamesh. Now he starts talking about regulations for a second, then realizes, wait a minute, I'm just drunk. You can have that shit, I don't care. But why do you need it? Of course, it's to use them for a counterattack. Jin-Woo finally gets the runestone that was left behind by Kamesh. He explains that they're gifts from the rulers to help humans fight against the monsters. The rulers want there to be an intense battle to get the world accustomed to magical energy. The humans that die is just a side effect of their ultimate goal. Then he asks the deputy for one more favor. It cuts over to this big-ass mansion where he's meeting one more time with Lady Selner. She says, you're not the person I know. Before, the darkness existed deep inside you, but now you are the darkness itself. He's like, bro, I'm the same person. I just became one with the darkness. Now, you said you could see the future. Can you please look into mine? She hesitates for a second before grabbing his hand and saying she understands. It only takes her about a second until she starts crying. You really starts grabbing his hand. You really plan to take on everything by yourself? And he's just smirking. How? How could a single human carry this much by themselves? Are you gonna sacrifice yourself to protect everything? He's just happy because this is all he wanted to hear. Thankfully, that means I can get there at least. But what do you mean thankfully? No one will be able to remember. It'll be a lonely fight by yourself. And he just excuses himself and uses his shadow exchange. Now he's on top of, is this a real building? Might be, but he's just staring at the sunset before he pulls out his phone. He's got to make a call. Jin-Woo says, it's me. Like, hold up, is it really you? And he apologizes saying he's been busy. She says, I feel you, I've been busy too. They haven't gotten to see each other in a while. And of course, they want to meet again. So she makes him promise that you'll come see me. I'm so alone. She's just happy after he hangs up. But Choi Jong-in calls for her because literally everybody is mobilizing. All the hunters from around the world. We got Big Thomas in the front as they form this alliance to protect China. But bro's still in Canada just torching bodies, and he says I'm right here, and just flexes his aura to send a message all the way around the world directly to Jin-Woo. I've already killed tens of millions of humans. How much longer are you gonna hide for? He says, don't worry, I'ma see you soon. He said tens of millions. He's killed millions of humans already. He's just been flying through the north, burning shit to the ground. It's like the next day, and he's wondering why Jin-Woo's been quiet. What is he trying to do? But he is up against an army of 10 million, so coming in head on would be suicide. He's thinking that he might just run away as something hits him in the face. It's a bunch of military-grade missiles flying directly for him. They all just explode into him at once. Got some F-22 Raptors, and they say they hit the target. While they're circling over looking at him, a giant pillar of fire just shoots into the sky. Hey bro, I don't know why you signed up for this. You gotta turn your phone to the side because he's a big-ass dragon and they're the little fighter jets. Oh, how boring. He charges up this ungodly blast. Then it cuts over to the Jin-Woo Palace, the Drip-Woo Mansion, the Playboy Penthouse. Actually, Shadowland would be the perfect name. That shit used to be fun. It shows him sitting in the dark on his lonely throne, just thinking about all that's to come. Then he looks up to see this writing above his head. He just laughs, thinking about Biru. He's crying, saying, my liege. Jin-Woo says, I know. All of them are just worried about him because this battle is too dangerous. Eager says he feels the same. Now I know that y'all are worried about me, but there are times when I can't let danger prevent me from doing what I have to do. He says that tendency is what Ashbourne liked about me. If he were in the same situation, I wonder what he'd do. Rebellion says he would definitely do the same shit. Then looks at Jin-Woo. Of course, he starts to see Ashbourne in Jin-Woo. Alright, we get it now. All three of his commanders hit the ground, and they say, we'll follow you to the end. Can't you feel the aura? Can't you just feel the presence coming off of the panels? As they're going to battle, he's like, wait, shouldn't you contact your family? He says, nah, if I were to hear my family's voices right now, he just thinks about them for a second. I don't think I'd be able to go through with this. And he breaks his phone. Now it cuts back to the fighter jets, and this gotta be the worst shit ever. Like, bro's getting chased down by a dragon. It destroys the jet, but he ejects out of there and slowly descends in his parachute. The ground is by no means a safe space. He hides behind this wall. The monsters are just munching on the humans and just, oh my goodness. He goes to turn the other way, and of course the big ass centipede, whatever the hell, is just on him. He's able to jump out the way before it gets it. He sees a gun and grabs it, trying to shoot it, but come on, yo. Been over this. I don't even know why y'all are out here. So it just keeps charging at him. He accepts that he's cooked, and all of a sudden it's just dead. And Drip-Woo has finally pulled up. Drip-Woo finally pulls up to face the King of Dragons. Starts it off by taking out a bunch of monsters at once and cheesing a rise right from the start. Now we got however many more monsters. He didn't pull up directly on him, only at the eastern front. He's discussing with these other monarchs about what to do next. Jin-Woo is trying to absorb their forces into his own and buy time by avoiding a direct battle. So it's really a game of chess, and he's trying to figure out what he's planning. Now Woo Jin's just at the office, and he knows the truth, and he's watching everything happen. So all Buddy can do is watch and pray for a miracle. Dear Lord, please do not abandon us. Much like a tsunami engulfing everything, the darkness of the shadows slowly started staining the battlefield. As the more and more troops they take out, the greater the shadow army becomes. Then there's this giant that's trying to crush him. The impact go like all the way through the city. He has to kick shit into high gear. He runs up and slashes right through his Achilles. Actually, no, he just cut off his whole leg down here and blitzed by smooth as shit. As he's falling backwards, Kaizo flies in and bites him in the face. I guess he's just gonna enjoy his meal back there. Cool guys don't look at people getting eaten, I guess. Then he looks up and the sky is just filled with dragon. He still can't sense the Dragon King, so they're not making their move yet. There's a lot of time left. He may be hesitating to make a move. I need to provide him a reason to do so. Arise. Now the giant he just killed is snatching dragons out the sky. Then one of the big ones in the sky start charging up, just blast right through him, and starts talking shit too. You think you can beat the Dragon King with these puppets of mana? As someone who serves the Dragon King, I will destroy you. He says, hey, you talk too much. And bro got like a 12-pack. What the hell? And chops his head off without a second thought. He can sense that Jin-Woo is getting stronger, so they have to go and attack him. But he tells the Monarch of Transfiguration to stay here and wait for an ambush, as he opens all these gates and says, I won't let him go. Now again, I don't know what you guys are doing here. We've been established that bullets and regular weapons don't do anything to the monsters, so y'all are just human sacrifices right now. Yes, exactly like I said, sacrifices. You're just doing nothing more than feeding the monsters. Then a big dog pulls up, sends the monster back flying. And of course, it's Big Thomas, you know, at least he's reliable. He can sense that something's different about these monsters, as he calls Thomas out as the human from last time, a weak vessel that lost to the Beast Monarch. I am the Monarch of Steel Body. Surely you know you can't rock with me, but you're still about to stand in my way? Thomas says, oh, is that so? See, I'm not very fond of confusing things, as a bunch of shadows pull up behind him. Rebellion says, it's been a while, Monarch of the Steel Body. What the hell is the Shadow Army doing here? Like, they must have been hiding in Thomas's presence. Damn, Jin-Woo got me. I must notify the Dragon King. But he can't reach him. There's Big Tusk up on top of this building. He's running straight EMPs and counter UAVs. He's just getting mad because the Shadow Army couldn't come up with a plan like this. That just isn't how the Shadow Army does things. They sentence the enemies in front of them to death. This is the way of the humans. He doesn't qualify to be a monarch. Biru says, hey, watch your mouth. It's a heavy sin to insult my king, which just makes him even angrier because an ant is about to stand against a monarch. So he just completely digivolves and Biru goes all out too. As it cuts over to Jin-Woo, who's meeting face to face with the Dragon King alone. He's confused because he can't get in contact with the Steel Body Monarch. He doesn't know if he betrayed him. So he just wastes no time at all. Says, I just gotta make sure to kill Jin-Woo. He fires this ungodly beam. I haven't seen Gang look that shook in a while. He just tried to delete him from the start. That gotta be more than fire in that breath, cause that shit is crazy. Of course, he's just holding the pose. Jin-Woo flew up in the air on Kaizo and says it, awry. The panel was literally too long. He summoned a bunch of his own dragons and used them to attack him. Now bro couldn't look any more disinterested, and it cuts over to Liu Zhang. He's just taking out the giants on his end. All the magical power over the land is trembling. He can just feel his body being attacked by the magical power of their clash.